Hi guys, welcome to Future Use podcast, Spot the Difference. It's a pleasure to have you with us for our third episode. Today, if you have not joined us before, please check below. All the rest of the episodes are down there. The idea behind Spot the Difference, as we announce on every start of every episode, is to allow people the insight to other people's lives who they might not normally see, but they might appreciate having that insight as to how they can reflect and how they can hopefully allow people to gather some different opinions and different thoughts and different aspects from other people's lives, and hopefully allow them to become a bit happier, and also allow them to see that it's not just them that might be going through certain struggles, but there's a lot more people out there that are also going through the same thing. So today I'm pleased to have James. James is a host that you can correct if I'm wrong, because I'm probably going to say this probably the wrong way. But for the first time, I'm actually under pressure, because not only is a host broadcaster, I'm normally all right at this, but now I've got someone who's just as a professional for a living. And first time, I'm all over the place with it, you know what I mean? So
I think you've done a great job there. Well done.
I think I've screwed it up, James, but I'll let you keep the limelight anyway. It's not about me. It's all about you.
It's strange, actually. It's strange because usually it's me asking the question. So it's a bit strange to be on the other side, to be honest with you. But I thought you did a great job.
Yeah. Oh, well, I might get better, grow with confidence. I was nervous, I say. I've done other people who do all sorts. You mean I've interviewed a chef and someone else who's been through cancer and things like that, and it was fine talking to them because they just do media, they just do like whatever it may be. But I sat there and I've just clicked on. I was like, hang on, he does this for a living here. Like, I'm going to look like a right novice.
Not at all. Not at all. Great job.
You win some, you lose some, don't you? So I don't know if you want to just start us off from the beginning, James. Normally like to sort of go through people's sort of childhood, how they grew up, sort of what background they're from, this, that, and the other, and then obviously lead into the full story. So wherever you want to see fit to start, my friend, that's good for me.
Oh, it's like this is your life. I talk about when I was young and a child, I was probably the most active child you could ever imagine. Always with a ball at my feet or ball in my hand, or running away from the neighbours after smashing windows with a ball. I was a bit of a terror in that sense. Not a bad kid, but just loved playing football and loved like kicking balls around everywhere, and it got me in a lot of trouble. But as a kid, childhood was happy. Good parents, supportive parents. I was very fortunate, and still am to this day, that they're still with me and they're still together. So I've had this solid base as a family. And then school, I loved school up until about 13, 14 was when things changed. And I always find that that's such a tricky age for any child. You get to that teenage years and things change. Do you know what I mean? A lot changes. You change, obviously. We go through our changes, but priorities change. Different things become important in your head, and I found that a bit of a struggle actually at that age. It was it was a time where it was pretty tough. There was certainly suffered some bullying in school, which now seeing like my niece has had some bullying recently as well, and it brings this anger out of me because kids can be just horrible. And it was nothing, you know what I mean? I look back and go, oh, God, it's so stupid. But it has such an impact on you when you're younger. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's always something I think about, which is bizarre because it was about, oh, goodness me, it's going to show my age now, but about 20 years ago or 20 plus years ago now. So yeah, school life, mate, was okay. It was okay. I enjoyed the early part, and then it was a little bit tougher, and then started to enjoy it again when I got to like sixth form area. So yeah, not too bad.
No, good. Oh, good. So where's that based, and where did you grow up?
So I grew up in Essex. Might be able to. Some people can hear a slight twang. I try and cover it up now. Doing a lot of TV.
Proper TV/radio voice.
I try to. It doesn't always work though. If you catch me on a different day, and if I go back home to Essex and see some friends and family, sometimes the accent just goes, it goes worse and worse. I mean, it really is proper Towie at times. But yeah, grew up in Brentwood, really nice part of the world. Loved the school life. decided to go to university, went up to Sheffield to start university, which was an experience of life more than an experience of education is probably the best way of putting it. You learn a lot about different stuff.
Yeah.
Nothing that you're supposed to learn about, but you learn about it. And it was, I have to say, university life was probably one of the best 3 years I've ever had. I think it's fantastic. And any young people with an opportunity, I know it's tough financially now, even more, like a lot tougher than it was for me. But if you get a chance to do it, you learn so much more about yourself. Living away from home, catering for yourself, looking after number one, which is yourself. It's a great chance to grow up, I think. And also, it is the time of your life. It really is. And bear in mind, I was at university 15 years ago now. And when I went to university, there was one bar right around the corner, one club right around the corner from us. Vodka Red Bull, 60p.
Dear me.
60p.
That's so cheap.
It's unbelievable. Unbelievable.
So you spend most of the, so that's why I suppose you spend most of the nights in the club. Probably cheaper than staying at home, putting the heating on, really, isn't it?
Pretty much. But it was like that. It was like, oh, should we go? I ain't got much money. How much have you got? I've got a tenner. That's fine. And you have some change and a kebab on the way home. Winner.
Best way, isn't it? Best way. See, I stayed at home for university, so I was I went to Sunderland University and from the northeast, so I had probably half the experience or if that. So, and I didn't used to drink either, so I got into DJing quite a young age. So I spent most of the nights out driving to work, DJing, and then driving home. Because started off as a light technician in one of the big clubs. But I used to get 15, 20 quid. And I was like, well, I'm not going to get drunk because that's going to cost, even though I get cheaper drinks or free drinks from where I'm working, it's still going to cost us that in a taxi home. So I might as well just stay home and that's it. And then I stayed with that mindset. And I think then I went to DJing and it was the same. I was just like, I've always been sort of money conscious and wanted, like, I'd rather have a nice car than go out and get drunk and whatever it may be. So I've always put money into that. And then by the time I sort of hit 21, 22, and all my friends about every night of the week in uni, I was just either working or I just thought, I've seen what people are like when they're drunk. I've been on the other side of people asking us for requests while they're spraying drinks all over us and standing on my feet and stinking. I was like, nah, that's not for me. So I sort of had a different perspective of nightlife and growing up. I think getting into the music and the DJ. Although saying that, most of the DJs I work with just got drunk all night as well. So I think I was probably an exception. But yeah, I can definitely see why it appeals.
To be fair, I wasn't ever one of those people who asked for a request. Ever.
Oh, well.
Ever. To be honest, you couldn't tell me what music was playing. I wouldn't have had a clue. I
don't think many of them can, to be honest.
No. But it was a fun time. Best
way. So what was next after uni?
Oh, it's been so interesting. It's been such a weird life. So when after uni, I studied sport development with coaching, and I always had this passion for sport, but didn't really know quite where I wanted to go, whether I wanted to go to the coaching route. So I was doing some coaching up until that point, some football coaching, and I just wasn't sure. And anyway, left uni, and then it was, wow, I need to get a full-time job. Oh, no. How does this all work? And it was a funny story, actually. I very close to getting a job at the Sugar Hut in Brentwood, which is renowned for where Towie kind of based itself at the start. And when that first opened, it was the same sort of time as when I finished uni. And I went for an interview and got offered a job there as like a manager. And I thought kind of spoke to my parents. My dad was like, don't do it. And although it would have been fun, it would have set me down a completely different route. And I always think to myself, I wonder what would have happened if I'd gone down that route. But in the end, I went into sport, stayed in sport, worked for a five-side football centre. And then about a year and a half later, I had the opportunity to go on a reality TV show. Now, I can see your eyes going, I didn't know this.
Yeah, I knew. I love good gossip. I didn't know what was planning. I didn't know the story. Brilliant.
and it was Shipwrecked.
All right. Yeah. You look like the
So
shipwreck kind of guy with the long hair, a little bit of stubble, like I can see on
the
Shipwreck.
long hair is lockdown
Covered.
long hair. That's all. It's because it hasn't been cut for about 12 or 13 weeks. But back then, I mean, I honestly I had blonde highlights. I mean, went on sunbeds, and I was, it was an interesting time in my life.
So basically, 10 years later, it would have been Love Island as opposed to Shipwrecked.
10 years later, it would have been Love Island. 10 years later, my social following probably would have been a lot more than it is now. But that's not a bad thing. But I went on.
I could have still been reaching out. Do you know what I mean? It could have been like a unparalleled kind of universe.
And I would have answered back still. There you go.
Oh, that's what I like to hear.
Feet always on the ground.
That's
But
all
yeah,
right.
it was. Do you know what, mate? It was such a strange opportunity. It came out of nowhere, really, and it wasn't. This was 2006, so back then there wasn't YouTube, there wasn't Twitter, Facebook. I think was just about started, but social media wasn't what it was and is today. And it was just an opportunity. It was like, well, a chance to go to a desert island. Well, what a great experience this could be. And to spend 3 months out there was just fantastic because you got to learn so much about yourself, more than anything, without any distractions in the real world. And I think that for me was the key because I was still, at that point, I was really unsure about myself. I had this mindset where I was desperate to be liked, desperate for everybody to like me. And if anyone didn't like me, I couldn't work it out. Whether that was because I thought so much of myself or what, I don't think it was that. I just felt it was like, it was my own insecurities about either who I was trying to portray I was. But then you spend 3 months on an island, no technology, no distractions, just talking with people. All of a sudden, things come out. And there was one point in the show, and I remember it, and a couple of people kind of like almost like ganged up on me a little bit, but they accused me of like just kind of not being real and not being myself. And I remember it really upset me, but it didn't upset me that they ganged up on me. It upset me that I finally had this realization that they're right. They're absolutely right. I was trying to be a bit of a brash, overconfident guy
bravado.
when I really and I wasn't that. And I really wasn't. I thought I did. I thought I had all this confidence, but I really didn't. I wasn't as confident as I thought I was. And also, it got to this realization on that show that I realized that it's okay that not everyone likes me because I don't like everybody. So why the hell should everybody like me? And it was almost this instant like light switch moment. And it really was. And it made me feel fantastic. It really did. It just like almost took this huge weight off my shoulder that I didn't have to try and portray that I was someone else that I was thinking people wanted me to be. Do you know what I mean? And I think a lot of young people go through that now where they, especially when they see people in the media, etc., doing this, doing that, they try and act that way because they think that's the way to go. Well, it isn't. And I can certainly vouch for that. I tried to act a certain way and I wasn't comfortable. I wasn't happy acting that way at all. So it was, as well as a lot of fun, as well as almost drowning, trying to swim to the pontoon, and building rafts and a lot of nakedness on the island. It was, but it was a great experience to have.
I've definitely got all females going, please insert clip here for YouTube. Do you know what I mean? I'm definitely, I'm going to have to up my tech game skills as well and be able to like chop and change things and put like flashes up and that and things like that. That's going to be the next one, isn't it?
It is. But yeah, it was such an interesting time. It's a weird time. And after the show, it was weird as well. So we got off the show and again, and I stress this the whole time, but I never wanted to be famous. I went on there for a good time. I think it's different nowadays because I think nowadays you can actually get famous from reality TV. And I think it's actually probably quite an ambition of a lot of young people now is to go on these TV shows because not only can they get famous, they can earn a lot of money.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And it's hard to argue with that. Do you know what I mean?
It is, yeah. Especially for the ease as well. It's not even as if like you've got to do anything. All you've got to do is post a photo endorsing something on Instagram and you've made thousands of pounds there in a day without even getting out of bed. So, and you drive around flashy cars, play golf, look good, tan, teeth, a lot, isn't it? So I mean, I understand there's a lifestyle, like, it would be quite attractive, but like you said, I think it's a dangerous cycle, isn't it? Because I think if you miss out or you get so caught up on it, that you can quickly leave from an aspiration or a desire into mental health, into stress, into anxiety, into I'm not that person, I want to be this. I'm, like you say, I'm not liked as much as they've got more followers, and I think there's a lot to be said about social media, and I think that's one of them discussions where you could go on for hours in terms of the negative impacts that it can have as well. I mean, there's positives out there. What we're trying to do is positive, do you know what I mean, and use it for the benefit of promoting that. But I think alongside that, there is always and always will be the negative side of social media.
100%. It's my godson came up to me over Christmas, and he's on Instagram, and he's 11 years old, which I'm not. I don't agree with his parents on this, and I told them that. And one of the first things he said, look how many likes I've got. I've got over 120 likes on this picture. My first thought was, bloody hell, that's more than my last picture. What? You're 11 years old.
I was going to say, I think he beats mine as well, to be fair. Like.
But it was this moment in my head. I'm listening to him going, this is a competition for these kids. This is not healthy, because that person who doesn't get 120 likes and gets 30 likes or 40 likes is going to feel a third less superior than this person.
Yeah.
And it's this inferiority complex that people live with and struggle with throughout their life, and they do so without social media, let alone the added pressure of social media. So I think it's dangerous. And then again, for the people in the spotlight a little bit more, if they choose to go on these shows, etc., they've got to understand and be prepared for the negative sides that can come out as well, because it is about, we've seen it in the news, we've seen the awful stories we saw certainly at the start of the year with Caroline Flack as well. So it's a tough one. Social media is very tough, and people have got to be careful on it. I myself am careful on it, because I try not to let myself get too involved in it, because otherwise it can be a really dangerous cycle where you constantly are again back. It'll be back to that stage where I'm going, why doesn't everybody like me? Why am I not getting? I've got 1,000 followers on whatever platform. Why are 1,000 people not doing that? Why are they not liking this? Why are they not viewing this?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it goes back as well. Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, even just speaking like we did at the start, I think it's like back at school. It's like the playground all over again, isn't it? Who's the most liked? I mean, we were on the playground, and it wasn't who had the most likes. It was who's the hardest, or who's got the hardest brother or sister. That's what it was. Do you mean? So they became the popular kids. If you had no older siblings, you were down here. If you were good, if you could play a sport, that projected you up a little bit. But if you were a nerd and like maths and art and that, do you know what I mean? So if you're a maths nerd with no older brother or siblings, you were like right at the bottom end here. Do you know what I mean?
It was so true, though, wasn't it?
It is, absolutely. And then you look at it and go, well, that's all social media. It's going to become a big playground. So if you've got loads of likes, then you can do and say what you want. But I think it's just, like you say, it just attracts that negative from people. But it's a hard one, because I think some people have a thrust upon them. And I think as well, if you want to go looking for it, I think there's got to be a lot of awareness and, but this is what's going to come with it. This is how you're going to have to prepare yourself. And I think, hopefully, unfortunately, tragic situations will put a lot more onus on these companies who obviously host these shows and things like that, and audition for these processes, to make sure that people are in the right state of mind to be able to handle that as and when it comes along, really.
Yeah, I mean, I think back to, this was 2006 when I did Shipwrecked, and I remember having a psychological test, and I remember doing a test on paper and then actually going in and having another written test. It wasn't like a chat, and the difference is the aftercare now, and I go back to the time I did it, and there was no aftercare, none whatsoever. Now, obviously, again, fortunately, we weren't at the stage where reality TV is now, but even then, though, still coming back wasn't easy. Still, people recognizing you on the street, dealing with confrontational people, who just simply wanted to get reaction because they knew who you were. Yeah. Nobody taught you how to deal with those situations. Nobody told you what the best way was of handling that, and that's tough. And, there were certainly people in the year that I did it really, really struggled with that. They struggle with any attention like that. They couldn't really cope with it. And it's tough. Fortunately, they are doing a lot better. I think they can do so much more. And I think they should do more. And I think by law, they should do more. And I think the education system needs to do more as well. I think the education system needs to do a hell of a lot more, especially with regards how you handle social media as well for young people, so that when they do get to their adult life, they are in a much better place to be able to handle everything that could come their way.
No, I agree. Totally agree. So after Shipwrecked, what was next?
How long have you got? Oh, honestly, I'll keep it as kind of brief as possible. So after Shipwrecked, I had 6 months as a Z-list celebrity, going around to every nightclub and student union around the country, being paid to have a drink and wave to students, which was great fun. Loved it. Thought it was just brilliant to get paid to have a drink, basically. And kept my feet on the floor the whole time. It was one of them things. It was like, well, I haven't got a job now, so I'd left my job. So go and enjoy it, go and embrace it. Yeah. But no, and I always knew in 6 months' time, it all ends. As soon as the show finishes, no one cares about you. Yeah. And I was prepared for that, and that was good. I then randomly got picked up by a model agency off the program, which is not something I ever thought in a million years I would do, or thought I was ever that a good looking lad in that regards as a model. I just had no idea about it. And again, it was one of them, just do it. Why not? Let's just see what happens. And do you know, I've been so lucky with that career. I mean, it honestly got me to travel the world. I've been all over the world, and I'm so fortunate for the opportunities that came where I never, ever thought in a million years. But during that time, and during the after post-Shipwreck time, I started doing some presenting work, and I was actually hosting some X Factor contestants. They'd come off the show, they were doing some tours around the country, and I was introducing the acts. So I was like comparing. And it was during that I realised that I really, really enjoyed doing this. I had a buzz from doing it. I felt like it was one of the things. I'm not somebody who blows my own trumpet very often. I'm quite critical of myself all the time. But it was that one moment where I thought, actually, I'm quite good at this. I feel like I'm confident at this. I feel like I could do more of this as well in the future. And so that kind of got this career goal in mind at that point. I was like, right, that's what I want to try and focus on. Did some very, very obscure presenting jobs for, oh my goodness me, a casino channel on Sky 800 and something, which was watched by millions, of course. Did a embarrassing job for a meat company, hosting some YouTube videos for them called 69 Seconds of Meat.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah.
For the CV.
That isn't on there, funnily enough. And I was just making my way, and then I had an opportunity in 2010 to go to South Africa for the Football World Cup. And it coincided, it was a show, and now it was another reality show, but that wasn't. I was sold something very differently, basically, and I was sold this fan experience down in South Africa for the World Cup. Get to meet all the players, meet all the teams, go to all the games, and I thought, well, this sounds fantastic. Yeah. It's like a football fan's dream. So I got lucky, got on this show, and ended up spending like 5 weeks over there, and it was fantastic. Got to meet people from all over the world, representing countries from every country of the World Cup, which was just an amazing opportunity. Yeah. A different sort of reality show, really, in a way, and it was interesting. Sponsored by Budweiser. I sound like an alcoholic. I really do. I'm not, by the way. Just let me get that out there. But it was sponsored by Budweiser, and we were just in this house watching all the games, and it was great to mix around with like all the different cultures from countries all over the world. It was a fantastic experience. So that was good.
That was amazing.
Yeah, and then from that, I had met somebody on the show who lived in LA. So there's me thinking, right, I want another experience. What am I going to do? I pack my bags and move to LA, and
Wow.
moved to LA for 2 years, and just it was again just spare of the moment, spontaneity. Decided why not? Let's see what that's like, and spent 2 years, 2 hard years in LA. Though I mean, I'm not gonna. It certainly wasn't your. Although I had a couple of Hollywood moments, it really wasn't. The 2 years was
Yeah.
tough. It's a tough city where everybody's there to try and make it as someone, whether it's acting, modeling, presenting, whatever. Everybody's trying to make it, and they almost converge onto this city. And it is a dog-eat-dog world.
It's just free for all.
Oh, it's unbelievable. But I'd go to an audition and there would be 500, 600 people there for one job.
Me.
And
crazy, isn't it?
It was mad. It really was. And it was a learning experience. It was hard to be away from friends and family. Not easy, but to experience something like that was fantastic. It was when I came back from LA that I really. So that's when my struggles started, and I've only been open about it very recently. Now, close friends, family knew about it, but I got back and I wasn't in that relationship anymore, and I was really just struggling to adjust to being back in London. It was a bit of a culture change again. I was how old? So 2012. So I'd have been 28. I didn't really have much money or any money at that point. Didn't know what I wanted to do. Was just questioning my career, questioning everything basically. And it was starting to become a burden on me. And then I had a bit of like some personal news that went on at the start. I remember the start of 2013. Within the space of 2 weeks, I heard like two things had happened. Add that to, I think, a job had fallen through, the change of environment, a girlfriend issue. It was just like this. It just got too much, basically. But I couldn't handle it, and I didn't know how to handle it. I didn't know how to. I'd never been this person who'd suffered mentally. I'd always, I had my down moments, but I'd never thought that was me. Whereas I've seen it. My sister suffered for 4 years, so I saw it firsthand what depression could do and how tough that is. So I saw it from that side, but I've never experienced it personally. And I wasn't depressed, but I was just struggling, and I just couldn't find a way out of my feelings. My head just was nonstop, and I was doing the worst possible thing. I was drinking heavily. By this point, not an alcoholic, but it was every evening I would be in desperate need of. I remember looking one morning to see so many wine bottles on the side, and I couldn't believe how many wine bottles there were, because in an evening, I was sat in bed just drinking on my own, sat in bed drinking, making my thoughts in my head even worse, waking up in the morning feeling even worse than I did the day before. It was this just awful downward spiral that I was in, and I was just not coping with anything, any situation that was cropping up in my life, work, personal life. I just could not cope, and my mind was just going overdrive, barely sleeping very much. And I remember thinking, I just need to get away. I need to get away from this environment. I need to get away from it. I thought, that's the right idea. That's the good thing to do. So let's get away. So the smart thing would have been is to actually probably take myself away on my own somewhere where I couldn't drink, and actually I could just be with my thoughts and try and sort myself out and work out what was going on. But the stupid part of my brain was saying, well, hold on a minute, there's these two girls that have invited you to go to Thailand. That sounds fun. That sounds a good way of distracting your mind. So off I popped. I booked a flight, and within a week I was flying to Thailand. And again, at the start it was great. I was buzzing because it's a new environment. You switch off your thoughts. Great, no problem at all. But again, it was a drinking holiday. And it was the same every time. After the next day, after a night of drinking, I was in just like a world of pain. I was just in this box with my thoughts, thinking, how am I going to get out of here? Not happy with myself. It was these feelings that I had when I was younger coming back again, where I was questioning who I was, why people didn't like me. And I was telling myself, stop thinking like that, but it just wasn't working. And I got myself in a real state, to the point where after 7 days of a 3-week trip, I was in such a state where I had to fly back. And I took myself away from the environment, flew back. I remember being on the phone to my parents in tears. I remember being on the phone to my friends in tears. But they couldn't understand what I was crying about. And I couldn't tell them what it was because I didn't really know what it was. It was just this battle I was going through. And because of what my sister had gone through, she was great. And she said, just when you get back, go to the doctors. Just go to the doctors and see what they say. So I flew back. First thing I did, she picked me up from the airport, which was amazing. And then that day I went straight to the doctors. And I sat down with the doctor and I told him the list of things that had happened at the start of the year, and then combined it with obviously how my lifestyle was at that point as well. And he just said to me, he shook his head and he went, no wonder you feel like that. He's like, you've gone through loads and then you're just feeding alcohol in your body that's just absolutely destroying your brain. No wonder you're feeling so low. And all of a sudden, it's like this relief just went through me. And this weight off my shoulder, that it was this final realization that it was okay to not feel okay. So it was okay that when something bad happens in your life, to have that time where you're feeling not so great. And that's okay. You don't have to feel great all the time. And it really was that. And it felt amazing. And after that, I stopped drinking for a fairly long period. A good couple of months, I think. Just not like, again, I wasn't an alcoholic, but I just wanted to sort my brain out so that it wasn't having any, negative effects. And I got myself into a bit of a routine. Started playing cricket, which is something I did when I was younger. Started playing that again. So that was every weekend. I had something to look forward to where my routine just started. I never really had a routine up to that point. And it just gradually doing that and working my way through that and talking more openly about what I was going through just helped so much, and changed everything, changed my perspective on everything as well. And I've never looked back. I've never, since that moment, genuinely, since when that doctor told me that, I've never looked back, never gone back to that way. I have my down days like anybody else, but I know when I feel down, don't open a bottle of wine or 3, which I was doing. When you're not feeling yourself, don't do anything that's going to make it even worse the next day. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like if you have one bad day, that's okay. You have 2, all right, you can get away with that. But when you go into the 3rd day, that's when you need to change something. That's when you need to change your mindset. Why are you feeling like this? Sit yourself down, think about it, speak to somebody about it, and then work out to get back to how you were. Because as soon as you leave it more than 3 days, that's where it really is really difficult to get it back. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously before you went to the doctors, obviously did you speak to your sister about it, and obviously your friends and things like that? Obviously they struggled to see where you were coming from, but I imagine your sister had a bit more of an indication as to what you went through in the start of the year and what have you. And did she sort of say the same thing as the doctors? Was it just a case of someone medical who was not family related in it? I know sometimes I've always thought in the past, if I've got an issue or a concern, I can say it to my family, but they'll always try and butter it up maybe, or make it feel like it's not as bad or whatever. Whereas if you sit down with someone who's medical, this is black and white, blah, blah, there you go. I know I always feel a million times better when I come out. I know the things that I look at and I think, oh, I've got a headache or I might have a brain tumor, whatever. And you sort of escalate and get so worried, and before long, you've made your feelings worse. You're in this horrible cycle. And no matter what your friends or family say to you, you just think, oh, well, they're bound to say that to my friends and family. So I think for me, I was like, well, I don't have to say I ring them every day, but I don't. But when I speak to a doctor, for me, it's that clinical diagnostic of, you're okay, this is this, blah, 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 put everything into perspective, and that's the point where I then can move on. you think it was that from a medical point of view that sort of then give you the reassurance of, right, yeah, okay, this is all right?
Absolutely, 100%. And it's funny because like when I talk to my girlfriend and I give her advice, she barely listens to me, but somebody else she'll listen to. And it's a funny thing that we're all like that. And what I found was that the one good thing and how I dealt with it, I didn't lock myself away with my feelings. So I always talked to people and was constantly on the phone to people. But the problem I was finding is I'd be on the phone for half an hour or whatever with somebody. I'd put the phone down and I'd need to call someone else straight afterwards. So those phone calls weren't helping me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They actually weren't. I think getting it out there was maybe helping me a bit, but I wasn't getting any. There was nothing that was calming me down. And whether that was, and look, a lot of that is down to the fact that people don't understand it. And people understand it a bit more now, but, you know, this is still taking its time and people still don't understand everything. So we don't always understand how to talk to people when they're feeling down. Nobody's ever taught us, you know, so you try and reach out to those closest to you, but they're not qualified to talk to somebody who's not, like, who's struggling. Do you know what I mean? You can try your best and that's all you could do. Look, my friends and family were amazing. They supported me incredibly well. But having that conversation with somebody who I didn't know, who I thought was a professional, well, he was a doctor.
You like the hope so anyway, if he was in the
you hope so. but honestly, it was such a relief. And I just remember laughing. I remember laughing when he said it. And I just laughed. And just, I will never forget the weight off my shoulders. Like, it was just unbelievable. I knew it went the end, but it was like, God, this is great. Right.
Yeah.
And he did. He was like, straight away, stop doing the drinking business when you're feeling down. And he said that straight away. And it was like, yep. I learnt that in Thailand. Worst thing I could have done.
Yeah. I suppose the good point is you probably got there to a point where it hadn't got detrimental to your health, so to speak. Okay, yeah, you had obviously a bit of troubles and they made things worse, and that obviously worsened symptoms now you were feeling. But in terms of having a long lasting or a huge impact on your health, that obviously it was great. Obviously, nip that in the bud. Obviously, I think for a lot of people, these conversations and those sort of points at which the light bulb switches on, that's another thing I think a lot of people have got to realise. It's so vast and it can change from person to person. One person like yourself can sit down in that first conversation within 10 seconds, happy days. Do you know what I mean? Where someone else might need a little bit longer and they might need to see multiple people. Again, it's the people you speak to, it's what they're saying, it's how they say it. You could say exactly the same thing, but if it comes from person X and person Y, it could mean a whole lot more and a whole different approach. Or again, all dependent. You might say exactly the same thing from the same person, from the same place. And because you've had a different build-up to them saying this, you're looking at it differently. So I think, for me, when people obviously go through a lot of trouble, I think it's in sort of difficult times. For me, it's just don't give up on finding that sort of day when you do feel that relief and you do feel that turning point. Because I think it can be sparked by a number of things, and certainly a number of situations. And even one that you've visited before, it might just be exactly the same, but again, with a different light shone on it. And again, it might be that thing that turns things around for that individual.
Absolutely. I think I think what's important for people is that if one method doesn't work, don't give up. There are so many different methods out there, and not every method is the same, and not every method will work the same for each person. You know, I had that where I went to the doctor, somebody spoke to me, that's great. As you said, you know, for some people that won't work. Some people, they need a lot more than that. For some people, they need a different tact. It really is just specific to the individual. But the main thing is reaching out and making that first step. It's that first step of going and accepting it. And you know what? I wasn't embarrassed, and I really wasn't. I think maybe I blocked it off at the start, but that step just felt natural to me. It was like, deal with it. You're not feeling right. Deal with it. Like, if I weren't well and I needed to go to the doctors because I had headaches or whatever, deal with it. Go and speak to the doctor. And it's amazing how many people, if they've got something wrong with their leg, they'll go to the doctors. If they've got something wrong with the most important organ in their body, pretty much, they don't go to the doctors. So, yeah, it's It is like that. But look, I just hope that, again, I hope that by me talking about this a little bit more now, and that others do the same. And I've seen it. I work in a world where people are freelance, self-employed, no structure to their lives, constantly looking over their shoulder over their next paycheck. It's tough, it's rough, it's brutal. The modeling side, presenting side, acting side that, I kind of cross over a little bit at times, and it's so tough, and you see and hear people's struggles, and it is not easy. It's really, really not easy. There is a lot of people struggling, but you just hope that there helps out there to be able to support them.
Absolutely. So in terms of then, obviously, the other things, do you find yourselves that you've got a certain mechanism now, or do you just refer back to that conversation whenever you sort of have a down day, and is that your reference point to think, right, come on, like feet on the ground, earth yourself kind of, so to speak, and then sort of put everything back into perspective?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I try. Like I said, I really haven't gone to that place since, which was, about 7 years ago now. So to get through that and to get to where I am now is completely different. And how I feel within myself now compared to 7 years ago is just completely different. I'm so happy with who I am. I'm so content with who I am as well. I don't need to impress anybody else. All I need to do is work hard, and that's all I want to do. Now, my focus is work. What keeps me and helps me is work and keeping busy. When I'm not busy, that's where it gets difficult. But if that's the case, for example, let's talk about entering lockdown. So the first 2 weeks of lockdown, I didn't really know what to do with myself. I pretty much completed Football Manager.
I've been debating downloading it. Like, I thought it's a slippery slope. I've lost many a night on that.
Please don't do it, right? Don't do it, because honestly, after 2 weeks, I genuinely thought I had an opportunity of becoming a football manager. When this ends, I took Arsenal to 3 Champions League finals and victories in a row. That doesn't go unnoticed. And
better than Arsene Wenger.
Well, exactly. So that was my mindset at the time. It was like, oh my goodness, what's wrong with you? And it was filling a void. And I, again, was sitting there going, okay, I'm not going to be busy. I know this time's going to be tough. What am I going to do? And I needed to be busy. I need my mind occupied. So I helped set up a Action Aid group in my community. We've got now 250 volunteers helping the community around my area, which is fantastic. And then alongside that, I just started doing some interviews and videos and editing. And it's just stuff that I love to do. I love to do the editing side. It was something I haven't done for a while, and I wanted to just tune up my skills. And it was just keeping things going and keeping me occupied. There's no end purpose. There was no like, I'm doing these to sell them or anything like that, or to make money. There's no money I'm making. It is purely down to just keeping my brain ticking, and also giving opportunities like you're doing with your podcast, other people to tell their stories. And for me, that's so important. And as an interviewer, reporter, presenter, it's not about you. It's about the person you're speaking to, and it's about them. And that's the most important thing. It's about asking the right questions, sitting back, and then letting them tell their story. And it's been amazing. It's amazing hearing people's stories, and not just happy stories. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I'm getting all my guests to share happy stories, funny stories, but also those times where it's tough, and also what have they done to get out of those moments where it's getting too tough. For me, like I said, it's work. It's work. It's having a bit of structure. It's making notes. It's right, I need to do this today, and I'll make my notes. This is what I need. I need that. And that helps. That helps keep my mind occupied when times are a bit quiet. But it's now, I've got a bit more of a focus, and I know where I want to go, and I know what I want to be doing. Whereas before, I was a bit lost and I wasn't really sure. Now it's like, I'm at Sky Sports now. I know that I want to do so much more there. So when I've got time on my hands, I can either sit back, put the Xbox on or PlayStation on and just waste my time, or I can actually read and study and research and listen to stuff. So my knowledge is improving time and time again. And that just is something to just step you away and above from everybody else, because it's a competitive industry, and you need to make sure your skills are right at that top level, because for me at Sky, it's a case of when the phone rings, right, okay, can you do this tomorrow? Yep, no problem at all. So you've got to be ready. You've got to be ready. So, yeah, so my football manager dream's probably not going to happen.
Well, if it's any
Sadly.
consolation, James, I think you'll make a fantastic presenter anyway.
Ah, thanks, mate.
No problem. No problem. But yeah, I just think thanks for your time. Like I say, it's great because I say we're trying to spread the word and educate people and allow people the insight into people's lives. Like you say, on camera and behind the screen, if someone looked at your LinkedIn profile, they're probably looking to see successful presenter, Sky Sports, and looking in your background, or he's been on Shipwrecked, obviously just gone like that, and people don't understand. I don't think that sometimes it's not like that. It's up, down, up, down, up, down. And if we can help, we've always said if we can help one person to change their life or stop them from spiraling or something, committing suicide or anything like that, get them off the drink, whatever it may be, then it's worthwhile for us. And I enjoy, like you say, just hearing people's stories because it inspires me and it motivates me to go on and do more and be more. So I think it's so worthwhile. It's unbelievable. So I really appreciate your time. Really do.
No problem. I think you're doing an amazing thing. And the more you do, the better and the more help you'll give to people. I think it's fantastic. And the more stories that people share as well, it's only going to benefit for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we'll put a link in, obviously, to all your stuff as well down below. So if people want to have a listen or read or whatever it may be to everything else that you do, I'm sure they'll be very intrigued.
It depends how bored they are. It's fine.
People have got a lot of time. That's what I'm banking on, James. People have got a lot of time. Otherwise, I wouldn't have even bothered. Do you know what I mean? But in this coming time, if ever there was a time when people might just by chance listen, it might be now.
This is true. This is true. Getting quick.
So, exactly. And if you do, on that note, if you do enjoy it and like it, please hit subscribe and like James no more than anyone. Obviously, it's important to try and build that forward. And again, you never know who you might reach and who you might touch or who might be interested. And if you are watching this and you have got a story that you'd like to tell, again, whether you're a famous celebrity or just an average Joe walking along the street and no one would know, we do genuinely want to hear from a mixed array of people, and we are interested in everyone's walk of life, whether you are front page of the tabloids or no one's ever heard of you. It makes no difference to us. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Please subscribe and come back for more. Hopefully we'll be able to do a lot more with James in the future, link up and help push the brand and do things together. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Until next time, thanks again, James.
Cheers, mate.